day with people that are much smarter than me, but usually one or two or three at a time, not that this many people all at once. Reminds me of a story. Anytime you hear something about politics, they got to tell you a story, right? Reminds me of a story that I remember reading about once where John Kennedy had invited all the living Nobel Prize winners to the White House and for a dinner. And after the dinner, he proposed a toast and he said that this was the largest collection of IQ points that had ever made their presence in the White House since Thomas Jefferson had dined alone in the West. I will tell you that I can very confidently say that this is an enormous increase in IQ points from what we typically have here in the Capitol. I'll just leave it at that. I include myself in that. Let me just say a few things. First of all, the governor and I want to provide you our tremendous admiration, a statement of tremendous admiration and respect for what all of you have done as authors. I know that it takes tremendous passion to write a book, tremendous discipline, talent, intelligence, usually a strong support system in order to be able to do it. So congratulations for not only the effort and success of writing the book, but for writing such exceptional books. The second thing I want to say is something that you already know, which is that your work and the work of so many other authors is incredibly important. I heard one of these things a couple days ago, somebody say that's kind of something you see on a poster in a Target store. The slogan was that children are a message that we send to a future that we'll never see, which is actually kind of true. Books are the same thing. Books that we write will live for a very long time to a future that we won't see, and they will provide a message about our times, how we interpreted our times, both fiction and nonfiction, for future generations that will never know. My exposure to reading started with William Ellen White, so I find it interesting that we have a book, one of our award winners wrote a book about William Ellen White, and that's because I went to a public school that participated in the William Ellen White book program, and I don't know if that program still exists or not, but basically they challenge you to read X number of books, and if you do it, you get like a popsicle on it or something, or an award. It was, whatever the award was, it was enough to motivate me to do it. And my prized possession in life is that my favorite artist is Berger Sanzane, the Kansas artist. And Berger Sanzane and William Ellen White teamed up on a book a long time ago of Sanzane lithographs that William Ellen White wrote the introduction to, and they both signed it. There's only 50 copies of this book. And I managed to get my hands on one, and as you walk into our house, that book sits right there. Then I started growing up, and I got into the 70s when I grew up, and I'll admit that when I was in college, I read a heck of a lot more Cliff Notes than I did actual books. Okay? That's just, I was laying it out there. My wife is passionate about books. She's one of these people who reads like 3 books a week. She waits until they get to the library, and then she gets them to the library, and then she reads, and she just, and so she got this great idea after we got out of school, so we were in our mid-20s, to find one of these lists of top 100 books that have ever been written, and these were fiction. And we decided that we would both read through all the books on that list. And it was incredible. I mean, I have to confess, as a 25-year-old, I was reading Catcher in the Rye for the very first time. But I'm almost glad that I waited. And so we went through that whole list, and it was an incredibly exciting experience. Really expanded my horizons dramatically. This last summer, typically what I have to read is nonfiction because, you know, it's just the nature of the job that I'm in. But this last summer, I sort of spoiled myself a little bit, and I went back and reread The Jungle, Catcher in the Rye, and Old Man of the Sea, which I've now read 3 times, and it's meant something to me differently every time I've read it. I think I finally figured it out, and I'm incredibly impressed. I feel like the guy who wrote what you are doing is incredibly important. And then the final thing I want to say is thank you for what you are doing for the reputation of Kansas. I think that Kansas is an extremely misunderstood state. Because we're in the middle of the country and an agriculture state, people just sort of assume that we're backwards and conservative, people that don't understand our history. Because we've had some politicians that have done some ridiculously goofy things in the last 10 or 12 years relating to evolution and some other issues, a lot of the people around the country think that we're a backward state. When in fact, those of you, which I'm sure all of you know our real history, we're actually have an incredible interest in history that we should be proud of. It's depicted in these murals as being a progressive state. The state has produced a lot of great writers, a lot of great heroes, a lot of great leaders, and just a terrific state. So I applaud those of you that are from Kansas, because you reflect well on our state, regardless of the topics of your book. And I applaud those of you who have written about Kansas and our leaders. I know the books about Dwight Eisenhower, William Ellen White, and others, because they certainly reflect well on our state. So I know enough about the book industry to know that none of you do this for the money. I suspect that when you have your books published, people just assume that you're automatically wealthy, not knowing that the author, of course, receives just a little teeny bit of every book that's sold. I know it because you do this because you have a real passion for the topics that you write on, a passion for writing, and obviously you are very talented. So thank you very much for your work. Congratulations for being recognized, and the governor and I are very proud to be able to